Shabbat Shalom, friends. We know that others are going to make their way in, but you're here and I'm here. Zoe is here as she prepares to be called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah in the morning. A great milestone for her and her wonderful family. We're excited for Zoe. We can't wait to celebrate with Zoe, who's worked so hard for this special occasion in her life. We are going to settle in and celebrate Shabbat as a congregational community. Those of us who are here, those who are watching from home, online, at the end of another long week. We take a breath, we put the week to the side, and we enter this time, this space, a different place, a different time. We give ourselves the gift of Shabbat, a time of tradition, a time of community, a time of music. We need that, our soul needs that, maybe more so than ever before, especially during these trying days, long days. There is stress, there is fear, we feel all of it. Thank God for Shabbat, that we can come together and give ourselves a little bit of a break, which we so need. We're going to begin with song, as we always begin with a little bit of music to help ourselves to shift gears. Shalom Aleichem, page 142. In the blessing over our Shabbat lights on this special night, it's my pleasure to welcome forward now Carrie, Rita, Sarah, and Zoe, pages 120 and 121. Amen. My pleasure to have Zoe lead us in our Shabbat Kiddush, which you can find on page 123. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זכרה למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. You may be seated. We join in singing Lecha Dodi as we welcome the Sabbath bride, page 138, joining tonight in verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. As we symbolically welcome the start of our Sabbath. We now turn to those around us to wish them Shabbat Shalom. Feel free to introduce yourself to other people. We do remain standing for Baruch Hu, page 146. To you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. We sing Shema, page 152.
בכל לבביך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אלוהים מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We sing together our Song of Freedom, Micha Mocha, page 158. Our tefillah, this most central collection of prayers, which you can find beginning in your prayer book on page 164. Please rise.
Elohei
Continuing together at the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. We do join now in a prayer for peace, acknowledging that our world is so very much in need of peace, especially now as we wake up each day to violence, to war, to so much pain, both near and far. Shalom Rav is our prayer for greater shalom, a greater sense of compassion, gentleness, a greater sense of togetherness in our world. Page 178, we join together.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Yotohu melech oron lekol hashalom. Yotohu melech oron lekol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. בטוב עיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה, כי שלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. We will continue now with Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, acknowledging that there are so many in our immediate and extended community who are struggling in some way, hurting in some way. So many lives have been touched in so many ways by illness, by anxiety. Misha Berach becomes our opportunity to pray for them and to pray in the name of their return to strength and wellness, and God willing soon. As a congregational community, our prayers on this Shabbat are very much with Ileana Cohn, Rick Ulrich, Lynn Romsberg, Jerry Dreskin, Ann Marsden, Sarah Oken, Gary Garnick, Michael Infanti, Shirley Friedlander, Jen Jones, Jocelyn Jackson, Eddie Rosen, Mary Mednitsky, Murray Kammerman, Rick Forenow, Todd Pollard, Dr. Jerry Herman, Carrie Basin, Hudson Hodge, Harriet Rosenberg, Ari Sobel, Harvey Savage, Carol Schaefer, Goldie Schultz, Nelson Simon, Jordan Maverick Steinberg, Harold Luboff, Tricia Tepper, Barbara Cohn, Mary Parker, Louis Alahut, Barbara Savage, and Karen Bowen. If there's a name you'd like to add to this list, someone for whom you offer a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing, please feel free to do so now as my glance meets your own. We join in our prayer for healing, Misha Berach, page 371. Pause for a moment for the sake of our own personal and silent prayers. Shabbat Shalom again, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
It's good to be with you. So early on in the Purim story, we read that Esther will become the new queen to King Ahasuerus. You remember that story? Okay. Let's take that as a yes. Okay. Ahasuerus, we are told, is a powerful and mighty king. We read that his reign stretched from India to Nubia. And if you remember, Vashti refuses to parade before this great king. She was supposed to, quote, display her beauty before the people and the officials, for she was a beautiful woman. When she does not oblige, the court decrees that Vashti shall never again, quote, enter the presence of King Ahasuerus. Now, sermons could be written here on Vashti's bravery and sense of self, standing up not only in the name of her own self-worth, but really for women everywhere who've been mistreated or belittled. She reminds us that human beings are just that, human, not objects to be paraded around or objectified. Can you imagine what it was like for Esther to now be the next queen after all the drama that preceded her? What was going through Esther's mind as she came to the palace for the first time? How was she feeling? A scary new setting, an incredibly daunting situation to walk into. If you've ever gone to a new school or a new camp or a new town, or entered a new relationship, or opened a new book of the Torah, as we'll do this Shabbat, or started anything new at all, really, you probably know the feeling. Even beginning a new day can sometimes be outright anxiety-producing. How will it go? How will I do? Will I make it? Will they accept me? Will there be enough time? What if I'm not smart enough, strong enough, resilient enough? On the day that the Winter Olympics started a few weeks ago, I read in the New York Times that the one element connecting nearly every Olympian is fear. All of those celebrity smiling faces, all of those made-for-TV superheroes, they're all afraid of crashing, of getting hurt, of coming up short, of panicking, of letting people down. They'd been working so long toward this one singular moment. Then the moment arrives, almost like a miracle. At last, the moment's here, and with it comes such scariness. Though they come from all over the world, and their sports are vastly different, they're united in their fear. They also acknowledged, however, that fear can be a good thing. As ski jumper Casey Larson said, you need a little reservation. That's what keeps you safe. Or as speed skater J.R. Selsky said, without fear, we have this invincible feeling, which can be very dangerous. We need fear. Not letting it control us is what's important. Now, Esther will be fearful, but she won't be paralyzed by her fear. It's one of the reasons we love her. Her fear won't control her. Of course, confounding Esther's standing in the presence of Ahasuerus and his outsized ego is the fact that Esther has a secret. Unlike everyone else in the palace, Esther is Jewish. As we see at the end of chapter 2, Esther did not reveal her kindred or her people. When Haman rises in power and threatens the very existence of the Jewish community, Esther now has no choice but to speak up at last. And so in chapter 8, she says to the king, "How can I bear to see the disaster which will befall my people? How can I bear to see the destruction of my kindred?" It's because she fights for the well-being of her people, and by extension, all people, that the Jews of Shushan will live. Now, if Olympians are afraid, if biblical superstars are afraid, then I believe it gives us permission to sometimes be afraid too. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to not always feel super confident or comfortable or certain. We live in a time when not feeling fearful would be almost bizarre. We have a pandemic. We have the nightly news offering such tragedy. We have gross abuses of the natural world. We have those who live and preach hatred. That's all terrifying. And halfway around the globe, there are those living with fear, and far more fear than we ever have. As they flee war and falling missiles, they're leaving the Ukraine en masse. They're going to Poland, Romania, Slovakia, Moldova, and yes, Israel, which has welcomed over 500 Ukrainian Jews in the last few days alone, including 100 orphaned children. They fear for their lives and their country and maybe the state of democracy itself, and rightfully so. Maybe in our empathy and our tzedakah, we can offer them some small comfort, even from far away. Now, as we open the book of Leviticus this Shabbat, we're reminded that new beginnings are hard and that our people have long overcome one hardship after another. Whether it was Moses taking us to a new land, or Esther announcing the dawn of a new day for the Jews of her time. Whether it was our Israeli brothers and sisters of 1948, or 1967, or 1973, or today. Whether it was American Jews finding their way to a sense of home here 100 years ago, or in recent years. Our job is to teach our kids that fear is not bad, that a show of false strength or pseudo-bravery is almost never the answer, that false macho confidence is a recipe for despair, but rather the message can be that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to be honest with ourselves and with those around us, it's okay to be genuine in how we feel and the fears that we all carry with us. Shabbat Shalom. service does continue now with Aleinu, which you can find beginning at the bottom of page 586. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המנם. אנחנו פורים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני
May be seated. The Shabbat that comes immediately prior to Purim is traditionally referred to as Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat of remembrance. And we come now to the point in our service where we remember the many we have loved and lost, including those taken from our congregational community in most recent days. Janice Lightman, mother of Stephen and Michelle Lightman, grandmother of Wendy and Michael Levine, Amy Carpenter, Jody and Ryan O'Sullivan, great-grandmother of Rachel, Jocelyn, Sophia, Alec, Mara, and Rory. And Star E. Berkowitz, wife of Bruce Berkowitz, mother of Michael and Aaron Bittman, Wendy and Harris Cohen, grandmother of Samuel, Jack, Ethan, Luke, and Jared, and Robert Weiner, brother of our dear friend, my friend and colleague, Rabbi Nathan Weiner. As well, we recall at this time those whose yahrzeit we mark this Shabbat. Dina Berman, Ina Feldman, Judith Plaskow, fireman, Ivan Fox, Leah Glogauer-Muntz, Bruce Hans, Joan Karp, Arthur Kelly, Bela Kennedy, Ida Lederer, Ray Lefko, Samuel Longer, Jacob Middleman, Eugene Saltzer, Joseph Samost, George Torres, and Seymour Uberman. I would ask to rise at this time those with us on this night in the midst of observing Shiva, the first 7-day period of mourning, followed by those observing Shloshim, the first 30-day period of mourning, followed by those with us on this night within the first year of mourning the loss of a loved one, followed by those with us on this night who are observing the yahrzeit of a loved one. And lastly, if there is someone for whom you say Kaddish, a name that has not yet been recited, and you would care to share that name with us, please feel free to do so now as my glance meets your own. In all their names, in all their memories, and in the memory of the many for whom there is no one to say Kaddish, we rise together for the hallowed words of the mourner's Kaddish found on page 598. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei rabbah, b'yalmad tivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayichon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru, Yehei shemei rabbah mivorach leolam ulalmei almaya, Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru, Yehei shloma rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Together we say, Amen. You may be seated. It's my pleasure to welcome forward our temple president, Diane Singer, to share tonight's announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Rabbi David, Cantor Sandy. That was beautiful. You really hit the note there. That was fabulous. And Herb for leading tonight's service. Thank you to Stacy for greeting, and thank you to Stacy Samuel and the Men's Club for setting up Oneg. And a special mazel tov to Zoe and her family for Zoe's upcoming bat mitzvah. And a special thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. Please join us tomorrow morning at 8:45 for Torah Talk and Bagels, followed by our 10 o'clock morning Shabbat service when Zoe will be called to the Torah in honor of her bat mitzvah. We have a lot going on this weekend. Saturday evening, March 12th at 7 o'clock, ECC and Sisterhood will be hosting a Mom's Night In. Sunday morning at 11 is Cradle Roll, followed by the Purim Carnival from 12:30 to 2:30. It promises to be a fun afternoon, so hopefully you will join us. Also, the Sisterhood gift shop will be open starting at 11 on Sunday. Side note, daylight savings time starts Saturday night, at 2 a.m. I was always hoping they would do that in the middle of the day, like fall back. Why while I'm sleeping? I don't understand. But anyway, please move your clocks so that you're not late and miss anything going on here on Sunday, okay? Hopefully you'll wear your costumes on Sunday, but also Wednesday night, because we will be celebrating Purim and having our annual Purim service at 7 o'clock. And remember to bring a box of pasta to use in lieu of groggers, and then we can donate it to the Jewish Food Bank. Save the date, March 20th for Men's Club Brunch. The Green Team will be presenting the ins and outs of the New Jersey Plastic Pollution Reduction Act. And tonight's Goneg is in the lobby, and I want to thank the Kukafka family for adding some extra special treats tonight. I'm looking forward to that. And tonight's thought for Shabbat is, once you carry your own water, you will learn the value of each drop. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
For Purim this year, I will once again be dressing as a rabbi. So, get ready. It's going to be a great one. Our closing song, of course, we have a closing song, Ani Ve'ata, which you can find at the back of your prayer book. It's on page 652. Please join us. Together in the Motzi, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. you so much.